Hey everybody, hopefully I'm doing this right. My name's Jeffery McClellan, and so I just wanted to talk through my PowerPoint that I created for the leadership style analysis, comparing two different leaders that I know. And so we'll jump right in. The first leader that I know that I've worked with is Sam Carr. And Sam Carr is the senior and founding pastor of a church called Life United in Shreveport. It previously was called Word of Life. They went through a name change back in 2019, 2020. And so he's been serving at that church for over 40 years. And he's written a ton of books. He's traveled to many missionary conferences all around the world, very big into missions, sending people out, supporting them on the field. And then he formerly had a television show that he broadcasted out of Shreveport, Louisiana as well. So he's been just a seasoned leader. He's been at the same church, like I said, for over 40 years, building that congregation, supporting that community, reaching out there. And so when we look at Pastor Sam Carr and we think about the leadership style that he has, he really is more traditionally transactional. And so what we see is, if I can change my slide, so you can see these are some identifiable traits. You see two different traits for transactional, and then there is a transformational here because he does have some of those qualities. And so first, transactional, we see it's a top-down leadership. Basically, he says, here's what's going to happen, and then the staff members follow suit. It's very much vision comes from the top and flows down. The expectation is that all the staff members know their responsibilities, they know what they've been hired to do, and they do those things. Many of the staff members do not step out of their lane of ministry. For example, the staff members who may be over children's ministry don't move into student ministry or into worship to add any insights or engage in that. And so it is very compartmentalized and really just departmentalized, where the different departments work on their various tasks. And so in doing this, he's very much, when you know what you're supposed to do, you do that. And there's not a lot of challenging the status quo, like a lot of, hey, what if we do this? There's a lot of repetition. Since he's been doing it for 40 years, they do things mostly the same. Another thing that we see really that I felt like fell under transactional leadership is for Pastor Sam Carr, his silence really means approval in his mind. And it's kind of been communicated like that to his staff, where if he's not talking to you about your ministry, then that must mean that you are doing things correctly. It's almost like no news is good news. And so staff members just continue to plug along. They provide updates whenever asked or whenever they're needed, but they just continue to kind of do their ministry as they see that they should do it. And then any performance reviews, making adjustments. The one area that is interesting for transformational leadership for Pastor Sam Carr is that he does occasionally pour in to other staff members, some, but other leaders within the church world. This is very limited. We don't see this happening a lot with just his staff, but it's select people who he's been in relationship with for many years. He is not just super relational on his own. He more is just a leader who like transactional, who just says, this is what I want, here's the rewards, here's the consequences if it's not followed. And so those moments do happen, though they are rare. Some of the shortcomings that we see with him is that his staff, it is a smaller staff, but 2/3 of it are his family members, from his children to his cousins, nephews, any of those areas, they are on his staff. Only about a third of his staff are what you would consider outside hires, but they are also people who grew up in the church and have been raised there and haven't worked in any other setting. And so because of this, there ends up being some nepotism throughout the ministry. There is an executive pastor that's there, and while Pastor Sam is not super relational, he leaves that to his executive pastor to take care of the staff. And Pastor Sam just really preaches and teaches on Sundays or Wednesday nights and casts vision for the church and leads the congregation. That executive pastor is more in charge of the staff. But what we find is that because 2/3 of the staff members are family, it makes it very difficult for the executive pastor to correct those staff members. He does not actually have authority to correct them or really to guide and lead them. So there does become tension within that staff. And if you're not a part of the family, it can leave you feeling like an outsider. His leadership is very guarded. There have been several ministry hurts. If you've been in ministry for any amount of time, there's going to be hurt. In 40 plus years, he's had a lot of different hurt, but some very recent, and it's caused him to hold on to the ministry really with a closed fist and pull it very close to his chest, where he's very guarded. He and his wife, she leads worship. They do almost all of the ministry that would happen on the stage. They keep everything very close so that they're not hurt. And so that makes it difficult for change to be implemented. It makes it difficult for the congregation to receive from other ministers because of how tightly that is held on to. And because of that, there really is a lack of succession. Pastor Sam is in his late 70s, and what he's finding is there's not really anyone that he can hand the ministry over to. The executive pastor did move in with hopes of that happening, but without being able to lead the entire staff, that has also become difficult, and without having opportunities to preach and teach in front of the congregation so that they can get behind him, that's also proving difficult. So those are some of the shortcomings with him. The next leader I want to talk about, his name is Marcus Brown. Marcus Brown is a campus and executive pastor for New Life Church in Arkansas. He is the campus pastor at the Greater Little Rock campus, and then he is an executive pastor to help oversee the 18 plus campuses that New Life has throughout Arkansas. He has over 30 years of ministry experience, really doing a lot of different things. He has a background in children's ministry, outreach, church planting, coaching, campus pastoring, writing curriculum, all those different things. He and his family had moved to the Greater Little Rock area and just a little after 2019, around 2020, 2021. And so some traits with Marcus Brown, you see, you're going to kind of see a stark contrast to those of Pastor Sam Carr, where Marcus Brown is more transformational, but does carry a balance with transactional as well. He just would lean more heavily into transformational if we wanted to categorize him. But a couple of those things. So we'll start with his transformational and then come to the transactional. But transformational, there is a holistic investment, is how I termed it, where he is very invested in the growth of the entire individual of his staff members. He's not just looking if they are growing spiritually, which is very important, but he's also looking at their mental health, emotional, physical. How are they treating their bodies? And he implements. This would be, so that would be the transformational. And then his transactional piece, really in the same area, he implements different seasons of time, from the beginning of the year to Easter, maybe, where there is, the staff is encouraged to not go on a diet, but more pay attention to what they're eating and make sure they're exercising and make sure they're resting, just to take care of their entire person. And so he checks in on this through personal conversations. Another thing that I termed it as gift empowerment, but this would be a transformational trait where he really pushes and helps create opportunities for the staff members to use the gifts that we believe that God has given them. And so he provides coaching in all those moments, whether it was a success or maybe there were some opportunities to grow. He coaches through all of those. The staff feels like they have an opportunity to take risk and to take chances because he gives them that creative space. And so when we look at those two things, very, very transformational. He meets with his staff weekly, and so it is a larger staff, and so some of those meetings, like myself personally, I meet with him every 3 weeks, but we do have conversations throughout the week, just checking in, short conversations, and then official 20 to 30 minute meetings to just talk through how things are going personally, spiritually, in the ministry, dream, goals, all those kind of things. Some of the transactional leadership traits that we see for him is he has very direct expectations. He maintains clarity when regarding your job requirements and then the consequences. And so he's very upfront with this is what he wants. And he actually will sit down with that ministry lead to come up with those goals together. But it is very clear. There's no it's not ambiguous. It's not there's no misunderstanding. You know exactly what is expected of you. And then if you fall short of those expectations, then he'll step in to correct that. So he's not actively just hovering over, waiting for every little thing. But if something seems to be going off the rails, he does step in to help make adjustments and then moves back into more of a transformational leadership role. Some of the shortcomings for him would be sometimes because he's very relational and the staff is very relational, many times those lines can blur between boss, leader, and friend. Sometimes this can cause stress when professional correction is needed. And can those staff members move from just a friend speaking to them to their actual leader, boss, employer, correcting them because he is very relational, but because he has a large staff here at Greater Little Rock and oversees 18 plus campuses, he's not always accessible. Some staff feel like they have more access to him, and many feel like they have less access to him. And sometimes this can lead to some resentment that they're not getting that face time. They're not feeling like they're needed or they're important. And that leads to also the inferiority gaps here, where it looks like possibly not many, but some of the staff members might have feelings of inferiority, like they don't matter, like they're not important enough. They're not in the in crowd to be a part of his group or a group that's meeting around him. If I were to coach either one of these or both of these with Pastor Sam Carr, some of the coaching, if we would look at standardizing authority, where he formally empowers that executive pastor to oversee all of the staff, regardless of the family ties. And so I would encourage him in that, to really set that up so that people understand, like this is a clear vision. This is who he is, and this is what he'll be doing. And then I would encourage him to begin to delegate. He has to become vulnerable. He has to begin to open up and give opportunities for other people to use their gifts. This would help him step more into some transformational leadership, where he's not just delegating tasks and telling people to do things, but he's also coaching them and helping them and investing in them, where they get an opportunity maybe to be on a preaching rotation, or even to lead in some other areas of the church, to prepare the church for the future. And then I would encourage him to get to set up an organized and consistent feedback structure to where staff members know exactly when feedback can be provided, that he's accessible if feedback is needed immediately, those kind of things, and move away from the silence is approval and do more, maybe just start off monthly check-ins, and just seeing how they're doing holistically, how the ministry is going, provide any feedback, anything that he sees that maybe needs to be adjusted. In coaching Marcus Brown, I would say maybe to set relational guardrails. This would be more transactional, very clear boundaries, very clear understanding, so they can maintain a professional authority while still keeping their friendship. But leaders and staff members know exactly what those guardrails are for that relationship. And then, because the staff is so large, he could begin to delegate some of that leadership out, a lot like what we see Moses do when his father-in-law talks to him in the Old Testament, and he begins to spread out to his leaders different numbered groups of people that they oversee. And Marcus could do the same thing to where he's not having to lead every one, but personal coaching can come from some of these other leaders who are established, and staff members know who they are. They have relationships with them, and receive that feedback. And then he could create very clear office hours, to where all staff feel like they have equal opportunity, equal access to him as well. So that's been just my presentation for both of these leaders. Thank you for watching. I look forward to any questions, any comments, any insight that you can provide that maybe I missed in the coaching piece as well. So hope you have an incredible day. Take care. Bye.